Hello everyone, welcome to a very exciting and controversial analysis video. This video is my analysis and testing of the Noxious Longbow with Araxite arrows versus dual Ascension Crossbows with Ruby and Diamond bakriminel bolts on bosses. I want to give some background into why I made this video. If you're not really interested, I will have timestamps in the description below, so you can skip right ahead to that. But if you are interested, stick around for this part. So I've been looking up bossing videos, Googling things, wikiing stuff, talking to clan members within RuneScape, and hearing a lot that dual-wielded range, specifically dual Ascensions, the most popular higher tier dual-wielded range weapons, are way better than two-handed range weapons, namely the also popular Noxious Longbow. In the context of PVMing in general, high-level bossing, etc., I've been hearing a lot that dual wielding is the way to go with range, and it blows two-handed bows or crossbows out of the water. So, anecdotally, I haven't really seen much evidence of this myself, of this in-game, throughout my bossing experience and just PVMing in general experience. So, I decided to run some really extensive tests on this, by which I mean I picked two mid-level bosses, mid-high-level bosses, and I ran about 10 kills each, with each set being the Noxious Longbow with Araxite arrows, and the other test being with dual Ascensions with Ruby and Diamond bakriminel bolt switches. For these tests, I went very minimal, as I did not want any factors outside of the weapons equipped to affect damage output. So my armor is the same for both, and I'm not using any auras, and the only combat familiar I use sometimes is a pack yak, just to carry around some extra food. I'm purposely using only sharks, only holy overloads, and only super restores and an Excalibur for healing and potting up and all that stuff. So very minimal. I kept it that way just so that there's not any interference from a Ripper Demon firing off its scrolls or anything like that. That being said, this video is not about getting the best possible kill times with all your super optimal gear and bombs and whatever. This is about testing as directly as possible and as accurately as possible the Noxbow versus dual Ascensions with the dual Ascensions best ammo possible for most. I will say the results of these tests stunned me a little bit, although they weren't totally surprising, and I will say the controversial part is that my opinion in conclusion is that for mid to high level, well, I should say mid to mid-high level bossing, there's not much difference between what I can see here. So let me get right into it here and say that the two bosses I decided to test on for this are Pthentraken, the Rex Matriarch of Magic, and Carepac. The reason I picked these two bosses is that they have decent health pools, Pthentraken being on the lower end with just 200,000, and Carepac being on the higher end with a normal mode close to, let's see, over 750,000, I believe. I don't remember exactly, but I know he has 4 phases with 200,000 HP, so good health pools to test on. Both bosses have mechanics that require you to move around, dodge, resonance, etc., but are pretty straightforward, and that once you get used to them, they're pretty predictable. So within 10 kills, it's very possible to get a pretty good average, accounting for messing up the mechanics or having bad luck and bad RNG and things like that. So let's get into the numbers. Let me start with Pthentraken. And by the way, I know spreadsheets are not the most fun thing to look at. So I have all my kill times here with both setups. And I also have, I have the average kill time, the shortest and the longest of the batch that you'll see here. I also picked out my top 5 kills from each batch and did the same thing. This is to account for those moments of bad luck or those kills of bad timing, messing with the mechanics and things like that, because that definitely does happen, especially for me. So with that pretext, let me get into what these numbers mean. So off the bat, you can see a little surprisingly to me with Pthentraken, between these 10 kills with the Noxbow and dual Ascensions, my average kill time was actually a little bit better with the Noxbow You can actually see that my shortest kill time was a little bit better with dual Ascensions. And even if we take my top 5 kills here, the difference is much smaller, but at worst, it's about even. So, one thing I notice here is that consistently my shortest kill time is with the dual Ascensions, and the same goes for my longest kill time. So a few things. With Pthentraken in particular, range is kind of important. Pthentraken does have mechanics that make it, well, I should say it's easier if you can stay farther away, because the converging lightning lines are easier to dodge if you can keep your distance. The overcharge lightning from the sky maneuver is easier to position if you have longer range. So that may be one explanation for it, why the kill times are a little bit better with the Nox bow. And one thing I will say is that for this boss in particular, I picked Pthentraken because she requires a resonance mechanic, and that is one area that dual wielding for any combat style does have an advantage in that when you resonance Pthentraken and you're using a Nox bow as your primary weapon, you have to be careful that your character does not run up and try to punch Pthentraken because he no longer has a weapon equipped. With dual wielding, however, you can continue your attack pattern as normal. So that is one plus. The short and sweet of this is I don't see too terribly much of a difference here between using a Nox bow and dual Ascensions for a Pthentraken level of boss. So this would also go for God Wars Dungeon 2 if you choose to range any of those bosses. Now, moving on to Carepack, this one was even more interesting to me in that this is a longer fight, on average of at least twice as long, if not more, using this setup. I should say these setups. So here there is some difference between the dual Ascensions and the Nox bow. You can see that the average overall kill time between the 10 kills with each setup was a little bit better, on average by about 7 seconds with the Ruby and Diamond bakriminel bolts, like the dual Ascensions. My shortest kill time was also with the dual Ascensions by a good amount, and as the same goes for my longest kill time. When you take the top 5 of these, it's about the same. The range narrows down a little bit. The average kill time was about 6 seconds better with the dual Ascensions. I have to say this surprised me a little bit, since Carepack is, to me at least, a mid-high level boss, and one of the bosses where I figured that between these two setups there would be a much more noticeable difference. What I'm seeing as a result of these tests is that you're just wasting more money if you buy Ascensions and bakriminel bolts, because bakriminel bolts are not cheap, and every time they proc or fire off their effect, they do get consumed. Araxite arrows are dirt cheap on the other hand. And again, for this fight in particular, I will say that the range of the longbow really came in handy over that of the dual Ascensions, in that for his jumping slam mechanic in particular, Carepac's jumping slam, when you surge out of the way and you have a longbow weapon range, you'll automatically turn around and start attacking Carepac again if you surge. This allows you to get him in a really nice jumping slam pattern that's just back and forth and really easy to plan for in all his phases when he has his copies come up so they can place them in the same positions. With dual Ascension, or any weapon that has shorter range than the longbow, if you surge away during the jumping slam, you will have to click Carepac again to auto attack. I'm very prone to misclicks, so I hate this, and the window to click him is very short before he jumps up again. Your alternative is to use Escape. That way you step back far enough that, I should say not too far, so that your auto retaliate will continue to attack him while he's doing his jumping slam. I don't like Escape as much during Carepac because it spreads his jumping slam all across the map, and it makes it a little bit harder to plan for all his phases when his copies are jumping slamming you. So it's a personal preference, but I like surging, and I like not having to click or misclick again after I surge with a Noxious bow. But really that's a minor detail. Even Considering my best skills with the dual ascensions and best skills with the Noxbow, the fact that there's only a 6 or 7 second difference in average kill times when we're talking about 5 or 5.5 minutes total kill time, it was a little disappointing to me. So now to wrap up this video, guys, if you're on a budget and you're not doing like Telos or Mazcab raids or any of the extremely high level bossing, maybe like maybe Zook is one where DPS is really important, and if you're using Hydrix bolts, that'll matter more. One thing I did not cover here is Hydrix bolts on purpose, in that I've played around with them before, and I will talk about them in future videos, but I found that for these bosses, they are a total waste of money, and they don't, either I don't know how to use them properly, or they just don't make that much of a difference, and they're one more thing to worry about. So let me throw that out there. Barring Hydrix bolts and proper use of that, and barring your absolute best DPS setup, so strictly speaking, for the average PVMer doing medium to mid-high level PVM, mid-high being Carepack, save your money. I would say don't buy the dual ascensions, just buy the Noxbow. Araxite arrows will do just about the same damage, get you just about the same kill times as the much more expensive dual ascensions and bakriminel bolts. That's all. So I am very curious as to your guys' thoughts on this. Please leave comments below if you think I'm totally crazy or if you totally agree. I have just heard so much about how dual wield ranging is so much better for the same tier, but I haven't really seen a lot of videos doing statistical comparisons like this. So again, that's why I made this video, but really I'm more curious now as to whether or not I'm doing something totally wrong, or if this is just the way that these setups stack up. So please leave a comment. If you like this and you want to see me make more content like this, it will help a lot to like and subscribe. My channel is extremely new, so that will help get it seen a little bit more. And like I said, I will be doing more damage, DPS, kill time comparisons like this, so please let me know also in the comments if there's anything specific you'd like to see. So that's all. Catch you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.